May profits be upon you. Welcome to another weekly Forex forecast. I am your host, RT Money, and welcome back. All right. So, next week, we have CPI data, right, coming out on Wednesday. All right. People want to know what's going on with inflation. All right. Especially in the US. So, you'll see US markets kind of consolidate up until there'll be some some consolidation going on up until the data comes out on Wednesday, right? Monday there's no red folders. All right, so that's going to be a low probability kind of environment there because of the low liquidity. All right, the low levels of liquidity moving. So you might want to sit Monday out, but Monday, Tuesday, those are going to be interesting days. Maybe you might want to hold off until after Wednesday's news. That's all I'm saying. But we're going to give you some good analysis anyway. Now, starting with the US dollar index. All right, we're looking at the monthly. You can see this monthly candle, this monthly candle, this monthly candle. It looks like we've just been expanding up out of this consolidation here. And you'll see the current month of January is a bullish candle. We went down and then pushed up nicely, taking the high of the previous month, right? And we're looking quite bullish. There's nothing in this forecast, nothing in this chart anyway, that says we should be looking bearish, except we should be having some bearish, what do you call it? We should be looking out for it, because look at this. Look at this. This is an area of supply. There was a a buy to sell. We got these buy to sell candles. The buy up before a very sharp sell off, and price is now hitting there. And I've been telling you the last couple of weeks that in the short term, I think we're still going to be biased, and I'm still thinking that we're going to be biased to the upside, bullish in the US dollar. But I think we are in an area where price could finally start to turn around. We've swept some very important highs for liquidity, all right, and we've already ate our way into and filled this bearish fair value gap that was here. So now we're mitigating an order block, all right, an area of fair value. So I'm thinking that pretty soon we're going to see this turnover. But right now I'm still bullish. You understand? Good. All right. On the weekly, all right. We already understand what's going on up above. All right. And what do we see? I was expecting price to come back down to this weekly fair value gap after we took this high. All right, we took the high, pushed down, created this nice area of fair value, and price continued higher. I thought this candle was going to touch down. I thought this candle was on its way down to touch down, and it did not. So if price does come down here to sweep these lows, I'm thinking that we'll still find an area to give price a bounce. All right, at least a reaction. But this is a very bullish candle last week, and I think this will be, because it's everything's just showing nothing but bullish signs. I think this will be our first draw on liquidity. So just to remind you, last week I told you it was going to be bullish. I gave you this bullish arrow here, and we took that high. We took the high of the previous week, and I just want to let you know I'm not steering you wrong here. I'm not steering you wrong. I said if we close past, we get a market structure shift to the downside below these lows, then I would consider changing my bias. That didn't happen. So, let's move on. All right. And as far as on the daily time frame, again, this will be the target, the low hanging fruit. We should get a bullish push past that. But understand, on Monday, this is something that's going to keep coming up in all of the US dollar pairs. All right, I'm expecting a small candle, something like this. All right, where we're going to have low volatility here, and that will give us enough air, enough area to work with to create a bullish fair value gap from which price could then on Tuesday push down and then up higher. You understand? Okay? That's the plan, and you're going to hear me repeat that a number of times coming up. All right? The candles just open. I'm getting this forecast out late. You have to excuse that. Uh, I beg your pardon because yesterday all day I was out working with the utility company, and I live out here in Georgia, and we were having a storm come through, and a bunch of people lost power, and I had to do some specialty work for them. Okay. Anyways, we're moving right along. Let's go to the euro. All right, the euro. All right. The basically the inverse of the US dollar index. You can see instead of things being bullish, things are very bearish. All right. And we see that we had market structure breaks to the downside. All right. And you can see also this is the weekly time frame. You can see the buy up before the sell off. Right. And price did come into, let's look at the weekly. Price did come into an area of supply. All right. And you can see that bearish fair value gap was disrespected. Price did come back into the area of supply and push down. And I'm looking for price to continue down. And I told you last week I was expecting bearishness. We did finally on Friday take out the previous weekly low. And you know, again, I'm not staring you wrong. I'm not going to give you bad guidance if I can help it. All you know, it's about catching the bias. You know, which way is price going, and how are we going to get there? Those are the two questions that you ought to be asking yourself, right? So, what do we have for next week? I'm expecting again. This is the daily. I'm expecting price to give us that come on, man. I thought I was writing. All right. I'm expecting price to give us a candle like this, right? Low volume so that we can have a bearish fair value gap at the end of tomorrow, you know, at the low of, you know, the end of the day. And then come Tuesday, I want to see price open up, wick into that fair value gap, and then continue down to our liquidity targets. Okay, that's it. Simple as that. All right, and this will be the first one, the low of last week, and then we have this one down here, which is a very important low here. All right, these look like they may be low liquidity targets, and this is the first swing low that I want to get to. So I want to see price hit. All right, and there's other ones below it. So here we go. All right. If we go to the pound, same situation. All right. Uh, you can see how price respected that area of supply that I had pointed out last week. I said we would. I had an arrow on this. I said we would be heading down from there, and we dropped hard, pretty good. All right. And what do we have here? All right. I'm looking for bearish fair value gaps. Does it make sense? Yeah. For price to come back up into this area here uh, from down here, this looks like it may be and end up being a breakaway gap. All right, where price closes below the inefficiency. All right, this imbalance closes below that imbalance, then closes below that candle. This so I'm not expecting price to come back. Let's get rid of this. I'm not expecting price to come back to uh, uh, this break this gap here because it's a breakaway gap. All right. So uh, I'm looking for price to open up, you know, with a small, you know, what do you call it, volume, and then we can see price give us a push up and then down, and we can hit these these lower targets here. All right. And what is that target? That's this low here from uh, September, the September low. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. You know, small push up, and then down. Okay, let's look at the Aussie dollar. All right, Aussie dollar, same thing. All right, I told you last week that price would come up into this weekly fair value gap. Price did exactly that. It climbed up into there and rejected soundly and continued downs. So this is all that all happened, Mr. Mason Inc. Sorry, Mr. Wait, wait. There you go. Look at that. All right. You see how we have that expansion here from Friday? All right. What am I looking for? A little bit of volume, a small candle, smallish kind of candle, something uh like this or a small doji. All right. Doesn't matter what color it is, as long as it leaves that bearish fair value gap on the weekly. That way price could come up into that and use it to go lower. That's what I'm looking for. All right. And what is our target? Target's over here uh, at this low. If we look at it on a weekly, you can get a better feel of that uh, that low there. Okay, but price is making its way down. All right, into this low, and there's another low below. You know, I mean, this ain't a historic low. We're heading towards testing this high and that low. That's where we're heading. Okay, but we got a ways to go to get there. So you know, it sells. That's what I'm looking for. All right, and we're looking for a fair value gap to develop for a price to go back in and check. All right. If we go to the New Zealand dollar, what am I doing here? All right. New Zealand dollar is drizzling. It's drizzling. But what did it do to the weekly fair value gap that I pointed out last week? All right. It came up into that fair value gap, found resistance, and then dropped. All right. It's drizzling though. It's doing this drizzle. It swept the high and then came down. That's what I want to see continue. All right. And if we go to the if we take a closer look, we have this low. Price could come back and test that low, but I'm looking for price to continue lower. All right. The first low hanging fruit target is last week's low, and then the previous weekly low, and then I'm looking for that low to get taken, and that's a very important low. This is the kind of low, though. Let me tell you, because it's so important. It may not take out that low. It may price may start to turn here because we are overdue a good pullback. All right, so just be on the lookout for it. All right, but it's all sells until we get a bullish break of structure. And what am I talking about? A bullish break of structure? I'm looking for a low, lower high, lower low, and then a break above that lower high. Once we see that break, then we're looking for price to pull back down into this bullish leg, find support, find a fair value gap, and continue higher. That's what I'm talking about. That kind of turnaround. Looking for that bullish fair value gap for price to continue higher. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Let's look at the Canadian dollar. All right. Remember, I'm looking at the Canadian dollar futures so that we're looking at CAD USD. I'll show you USD CAD in a minute. All right. But what can we see? It's been bearish. It continues to be bearish. I told you last week that once we take this high, I mean this low, which was low, which is lower than that. These are pivotal. These are pivotal. If we look at it on a weekly, you can see how important these lows are. There's plenty. These are big liquidity pools under here, so we could be expecting price to pull back. This is the kind of timing, and this is the kind of structure that matches the inverse of what the U.S. dollar index is doing right now. You remember? All right. So I told you that it's heading up into supply, and this one is heading up into demand, heading down into demand. I'm sorry. And we've already hit a discount array. You know, if we think about PD arrays, we're at a discount array, and price could very easily come down, take this low out, and then start doing its thing up. Remember what to look for is that bullish break of structure. So this high, as long as it stays protected, we're going to be looking for shorts, for sells. I don't want to sell in this though. This is a consolidation. I don't want to sell in that. All right. I would wait until this low is swept, and then honestly, I wait till that low is swept, not just swept, but traded through, and then a pullback into that breakout area. Then I'll be looking for price to give me a signature that says, "Hey, we're heading lower." But right now we're in the middle of this, and I would suggest you look for better trades on the US dollar CAD. Everything's bullish. All right, I'm looking for bulls. All right, and this is going to be the target up here. All right, the consolidation on the weekly, on the daily. I'm looking for price to take that high out, and then price. I'll be looking for buys when it returns, and then go up higher to these higher uh, time frame. I mean, higher areas of liquidity. Those are liquidity pools up there, just the opposite of what we just saw in the futures. You got it? Good. All right, let's look at the Swiss futures. All right, Swiss futures. Remember, we're looking at Swiss USD. All right, and we are bearish, and it is heading towards a pivotal low. All right, after it takes this low, I'm thinking things are going to start turning around, because we haven't had a pullback in quite a while, but it's all sells until we get a bullish break of structure. A bullish break of structure would mean for this low, that high, to not be protected anymore. And we see price break above it. Once price pulls back into this bullish leg of structure, I'd be looking for a bullish fair value gap in order to take prices higher. But until that happens, it's all sells, and this high remains protected. So I'm looking at this area as supply, okay? And I'm looking for price to come up into that and give us another setup for a sell down to these lower targets. All right, and this is our weekly open candle. I'm looking for it to give us to close and leave a fair value gap for Tuesday to come, and we can buy, let price sting into it, and then we can continue down. Simple plan. I'm repeating myself, but that's the way it is, right? All right. And if we look at the yen, it's drizzling. I don't like drizzle. You already know I don't like drizzle. But we did say last week that price would sting up into this weekly fair value gap. It did, and continued down, taking out some swinging out some lows there. But the deal is, uh, price made this low, and we traded back up into this area of supply. All right, you can take sells if you're a scalper. You can take those sells on a lower time frame. All right, but I'm not messing with this until I see a more demonstrative movement of price, where I see fair value gaps develop. All right, I like to see fair value gaps develop because it tells me clearly what the flow of price is. Okay. Now, as far as US dollar JPY, this is the exact opposite. All right. Than the futures that I just showed you. I'm looking for buys. All right. And there's nothing to say to take sells here. Nothing in price action says to take sells. All right. And we have pushed up a little, and we are back into the supply that allowed that push up in the first place. You can go down on a smaller time frame and shoot up towards these that liquidity at this high. But I would recommend waiting on a bullish fair value gap. Hope you enjoyed this video. Do check out my breakdown for the markets of the indices, and the metals and oil in my next video, and I'll leave that on your screen, or I'll leave a link for you to check out. All right. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and may profits be upon you. Do not forget to hit that like or boost button.